Today, let us take some time to study the words of God together with a sermon titled God's Advice. In the world, there are many forms of counseling. God also gives us many pieces of advice through the Bible for the salvation of mankind. Love your neighbor as yourself. Be slow to anger, and be united. Before putting these words into practice, we cannot realize their value. It is the same with preaching. What kind of result do these words of life bring about? They produce a result that leads us to eternal life and opens the way to enter heaven. Will we only just go to heaven? We will also reign in heaven forever and ever. When we think of these matters, we can understand that the more we add to or subtract from the 66 books of the Bible, the less valuable it will be. Therefore, this time, let us study how valuable is the advice coming from God through the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 1. It reads, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, 'Now the dwelling of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away.' He who was seated on the throne said, 'I am making everything new.' Then he said, 'Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true.'" There will be no death, no tears, or mourning, or crying, or pain. How valuable will this be? God told us to keep the new covenant, keep the Passover, keep the Sabbath, believe in God the Father, believe in God the Mother, gather in Zion, and keep the 7 feasts in 3 times. Each piece of this advice cannot be measured by any monetary value on this earth. When we put the words into practice, our positions and status change, and we are led to the kingdom of heaven. If we do not dilute the words of God with our own thoughts, but continue the path given to us as it is, the words of God will produce a great result for us. Isn't this why God told us to obey his words? Let's take a look at Revelation chapter 22, verse 1. "Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, as clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb, down the middle of the great street of the city. On each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. No longer will there be any curse, and they will reign forever and ever." If we continue to walk the path according to God's advice, we will all be changed into those who will reign forever and ever. By this, won't we be able to be born again as the glorious beings who do not experience death, nor mourning, nor crying, nor pain? I hope that we can focus our thoughts on the goal to run toward the kingdom of heaven. By this, I would like to conclude today's sermon. Thank you very much.